about to tweet this and just let everybody know that we on. But while I'm doing that, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, you're really a Jane of all trades, but a master at the same time. So I don't know if my introduction would do you justice.
Um, I'm Erinn Knight. I'm from the south side of Atlanta, which is one of my favorite things about myself, like being from Atlanta. Uh, I am myself for a living, which is super cool. Um, yeah, it's been a lifelong dream for me to do what I want to do, and I've somehow figured out how to do that my whole life. And now it's just about being intentional and mindful about what I'm interested in and moving towards that, just not what people tell me I'm good at. Because I'm a firm believer that good is it's the biggest thing that combats greatness.
Oh,
And so I was doing a lot of things that I was pretty good at or that people thought I was good at, but it was prohibiting me from being great. So I'm pretty focused and intentional about surrounding myself in and around things that uh, challenge me to be great. And that's being focused on the things that I believe in. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's me. I'm grateful. Um, what I do for a living, again, is myself. So it just moves around what I believe in and what I'm interested in the moment. I'm very much led by my curiosity. And so, yeah, I'm just grateful to be able to be curious and to be able to learn so much and to be in the digital age where almost everything is at our fingertips. I think it's a blessing and a curse, but for me, I try to steward it responsibly, and I'm really excited about the opportunities that come from it. I tell my mom all the time, like, God knew not to send me earlier because it couldn't have been me. I don't want to.
could
I'm
not.
grateful because I don't want to be angry all the time. And I was born in a city where I see meat all the time. First millionaire I ever knew was my uncle, so it's
Ooh.
like I think black excellence is sometimes a whack term used to like define us as like we have to be super exceptional and not just ourselves. But I think
Mm,
I was able to see excellence modeled for me in everyday life regularly, and because of the city I'm from, I really believe that I can do anything. And so yeah, I can do whatever I believe. So I
yeah,
spend a lot of my time just working on my mindset and freeing myself from limiting beliefs,
yeah, yeah. I think that that really helps have confidence in doing things as an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur is scary. Like, I
Yeah.
know when I first got into the entertainment, industry, I was just like, I just want somebody to see how dope I am and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars to help build their
Yep.
company. Like, I never thought of doing this for myself until I was in it at like the highest level and was just not getting value the way that I
Mm-hmm,
deserved. And
mm-hmm,
so I was like,
mm-hmm,
oh, so I have to, okay. Like, I think I made a hard pivot at the right time. Like, at 30, I had just had a kid and I was just like, I can keep working for these companies and have them play me in my face time and time again, or I can just start my own shit and pour all of my energy, my resources, my talent, and my gifts into myself and make some shit shake for myself. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And
for
so it's
sure.
like, it's not easy. I didn't come out the gate making thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I have to rebuild, but thankfully I have enough skills and resources and stuff that help me. Like, you tweeted something where it was like the companies don't like hiring innovators. Like, they
Yeah.
like hiring like foot soldiers. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
obedient people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I felt that so much because that's what was wrong with me. That's why my company is called No Conformity, because I couldn't
Yeah.
conform. I could not just do what these people said and be quiet and not speak up about the things that I was seeing. And a lot of the stuff that I would speak up about was me advocating on behalf of the music
Yeah,
artist.
yeah, for sure.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like, being on management teams, I was just always the liaison between the money and the people who didn't give a fuck and the music artists. And I
Yeah.
was like always the advocate for the artists who saw what they wanted to do and would try to get the money to do what they wanted to do, or would try to
Mm-hmm.
speak to the business people to make it make sense so that we could be supported in doing what they wanted to do. So I'm really excited to talk to you because when we first started talking about this, you were like, I can talk about monetization for music artists, but I think I want to talk about it for execs too, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And that's really what we have to talk about because the music industry is changing faster
so
than
much.
ever before because
Yep,
of the rapid growth of technology.
right.
And if you don't get with it, you gonna get lost, you know?
Yep.
Like, so yeah, you can tell. I'm just like beaming with excitement right now.
Yeah, no, and I really resonate with it. I think even me telling you that I could tell music artists how to make money all the time, like, but like even me saying like execs is because again that alignment thing. I want to align with my belief and my passion right now. You could tell an artist till they're blue in the face three or four different things that could add value to their life and make them money, and they'll tell you why they can't or shouldn't do it from an ethos or aesthetic or whatever perspective. Some will listen, but very few will listen and be consistent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whereas you speak to an executive who has probably had to fight even harder because people don't see it like this. An artist, cool, artist doesn't get paid much. If you're an exec working for an artist, you're getting paid even less.
yeah,
So, an executive, especially somebody who's probably creative but is bent a bit towards the business side too, probably a bit more, not completely. I can't differentiate because I do know a lot of business savvy artists, but if you're bent a
right.
little bit more towards business, the likelihood of you understanding a modality that will help you create sustainable income, you adapting that and being consistent with that is a little bit higher in my experience of a chance than artists. Actually, a lot higher because if you look at music execs that have outlasted versus
Mhm.
artists who have outlasted, it's like in my experience, like 10 to 1, if that.
Yep.
Like music execs are gonna last because you're built different. You're
Right.
built to be the outlier. You're built to be the difference maker. You're built to truck through the worst bullshit that is brought to you. Whereas an artist is built to create art.
Mhm.
So if you want to divest from the system that requires certain things in order for your art to be valuable in the world of commerce, you can
Right.
still be an artist.
Yeah.
But for us as an executive, we have to be engaged in the business of money making in order to be considered a legitimate executive. So our thought process, even though we add creativity to it, our
Yeah.
thought process and our approach is built a little bit more in an advantageous way when it comes to business, the world, society. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it just seems like a better way to go is to speak to executives, and artists will get the trickle down effect, and artists who think like executives will get the trickle down effect as well. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep screaming at the sky and asking it to fall. I'm just going to ascend to the clouds and teach them how to form. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we should not have to fight to help music artists understand that they're executives,
right.
that you are an entrepreneur, you're a
Yeah.
business owner, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're speaking to executives, you're speaking to the artists as well. But
Yeah.
it's like, like they have to have the understanding that
Yep.
I am an executive
Yep.
and that my music is my business, and I of course I am the creator, you the brand, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like all the things that we do for like branding, for create all of that, it's you. It's
Yep.
you. So yeah. So speaking to music execs, you're speaking to music artists as well. But whether they see
For those
themselves
who
as executives
understand.
or not, yeah, that's definitely up to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this is great. Let me know. So I know that you said you were born in the right time. Like God knew to send you here at this time because of technology and how things are happening. So talk about the evolving landscape of music monetization now in like our digital age, or how someone I love, she's the Gen Z exec. She calls it the inner tech era.
Shout out to her. I gotta check her out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, for me, and back to like me being born at the right time. A millennial who had to learn how to navigate the world outside of the internet.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, I've always been curious. So and like extremely curious. So when I was a kid, I used to be like, "What is this? What is that? What is this?" And my mom, she would give me like two or three
Right.
answers. I ask her a third or fourth time, she'll be like, go look it up in the almanac. Go look it up in the dictionary. Go look it up in the thesaurus. So I was going from mind to book, searching, the glossary, whatever. And then I used to be on Ask Jeeves like crazy when the internet
Jeez.
came around. Yeah. And then, Yahoo and then Google. And then when Google first came around, you could probably go maybe 6 or 7 pages of stuff that didn't super have a lot of answers. And then you kind of find an answer, but then you find somebody who's a
Yeah.
source, and then you go research that source. And then you may find a book or a podcast. Like I used to listen to podcasts like a decade and a half ago on the RSS feed. So I would go on websites and just like click play and like listen on there. So yeah, I've just always been somebody who's been interested in learning and understanding stuff. So because of that, I was able to take a do it myself mentality, a figure it out on my own mentality into getting into the music industry. So I started in rock music right when it was very like DIY and indie label heavy. So not necessarily fully independent. Oh, sheesh.
My bad.
You good? Do your thing. Not necessarily fully independent, but like indie label was like the goal then. But indie labels were only interested if you kind of had that like we're gonna figure it out ourselves until we get into the right proper mode, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, so I like toured on Warp Tour. Like I got my band on Warp Tour within a year of managing them, and then we ended up writing a business plan, finding an investor, going overseas and touring. Went into music and tech residency. We lived out in Oakland in a combine and like learned to think about music business from the same iterative place as like tech. So I learned about an MVP, but this all came from curiosity and trying to figure out who can fund the ideas that we have. And every time I found an answer, like I learned about angel investors from just reading, and I read and read and read, and then I was like, let me put together a proposal for an angel investor. But I'm like, I don't know anything about this, so like let's go to a family friend to read this and see if it actually makes sense and if they would invest. The first family friend that we took the business plan to like read was like a business owner that we knew, and he liked the proposal so much he's the one who invested. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
so
Like we just
that's kind of the process.
bang, bang. Like
Yeah. So that's the process. Same thing with like even getting on Warped Tour. It was like I had been studying like opportunities for like bands to tour, and there wasn't a lot of places where you could like audition. But Kevin Lyman used to have this thing called the Kevin Says Stage. Kevin Lyman is the founder of Warped Tour and Mayhem Tour. So he used to have this thing called the Kevin Says Stage.
hmm.
And he would just find bands that he liked who probably weren't ready to tour just yet and throw them on that stage for a week or 2 weeks or 2 months because the tour was like 2.5 months. So my
Yeah.
thought process is if I can get in the room with Kevin, and I really believe this is the greatest band to ever walk the face of the earth, if he likes them, we may at least get a couple of days on the stage. So I just would follow him, see what he was doing, what conferences he was at. He ended up being at a conference in Atlanta. We paid to showcase. He saw the band, walked up to the stage, invited us on the full Warp Tour. That sounds great, but we had no bread. So I spent the next 9 months
Cost
because it
money,
was
guys.
9 months till tour, 2.5 months. Two and a half. It was a 2.5 month tour, but it was 9 months out, and we were one of the last bands he booked. So we had to figure out how to raise the money. I had to learn about insurance, floats, advancing. I kept being like, "What does advancing mean?" And they'd be like, "Advance the show." Like,
Push up.
what? So
Like
I would, and there again, Google is not, that was 2011. He put us on the tour to go on the 2012 Vans Warp Tour. Google was not Google back then. And some people will be like, oh, dang, you're so lucky, first this, first that. But it wasn't, it was I was coinciding with my opportunity because I had spent enough time researching and understanding our value proposition and positioning us in the market properly. That came from my business acumen. I started my first business when I was 8. My parents are pastors. I'd be hungry after church. Let me solve my problem. I'm going to start selling baked
Okay.
goods. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm hungry. And
Period.
I've never been an early riser. My parents would be like, we got to be out the door by 8 because it's their church. We're not getting home till 2. My parents are black parents. They was not sad that I didn't eat breakfast. I'll be like, you won't die.
Ah,
But I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Hangry with a headache at, 10, 11, 12. So I started the business with my homegirl, started selling baked goods at church. She made my favorite cookies. I was like, yo, can you make 2 dozen cookies next week? I knew she could make them because her mom was like invested in her baking ideas and whatever. So she went baked cookies. We sold them. I was like, I'm not going to give you any of this money.
ah.
I'm just going to take it and go buy chips and cookies and stuff at the grocery store, but next week make a red velvet cake, right? Because we can sell that for more money. So I'm like, Mom, take me to the grocery store. And my mom says, I'm gonna take you to Sam's. We probably had like $25 from the cookies.
Mhm.
So we go to Sam's. My mom shows me how to read the price per unit because I'm like, I want this, this, and this. She was like, Doritos cost more than Wise chips. If you get Wise chips for this much, you can sell them for this much. And you know what I'm saying? Return on investment.
Right.
So I started that way. So it's like it's been in me, the curiosity, but also the desire to solve my own problems. I'm like, if
Yeah.
I have this problem, somebody else has to have the problem. So if I just think that way, and then I got into music business. It was cool, but I'm so good at solving problems. It's just because it's my curiosity. I love solving problems. I started solving a lot of other people's problems, i.e., artists that didn't fully align with me. And I loved it for a while, but it just took me off my path. Working with artists is not for me in that capacity. It works better for me to work with the entities that fuel artists because they have the type of bread that's worth my acumen, understanding, and care. So now that's as an exec coming around to this conversation. It's like I took my knowledge, my understanding, my desire, worked with artists for a while, and realized that that didn't actually serve me because it wasn't focused on what I was driven towards. But for a while, I thought it was, which is okay. It's okay to iterate in ways and learn. But the more I got in alignment with myself, the more I understood what my purpose was. I'm like, I'm here to equip executives and I'm here to equip artists. But if I'm working with an artist, in my life personally, I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. I don't care.
Yeah.
For a little while, when you're young and you're like, oh, I don't think I care, but you're kind of like, wait, do I? I genuinely,
You have
at
to tell
my big
yourself.
old age,
You're like,
I don't
I don't
care.
care
You
what
either
people think.
you you either get it or you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, I'm still going to do it. But when you finally get it, I'm selling it back to you at triple, quadruple, whatever the rate. So again, that's why I said I do what I'm myself for a living. Half of that is creating ideas, building stuff with my business partners and having fun and then selling that to other people. The other half is inserting myself in projects that I really believe in and getting paid as either a salary or a part of a team or whatever. But there's no thing that I'm tied to currently that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
And the moment that I feel like I'm not enjoying it or I don't believe something, I ask myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And then I create a plan to move on to what I believe in more, because your values shift. So it's not even like I'm double minded or whatever, but, I'm
Right.
just like learning how to consistently align. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now. Like, I want to encourage people. It's like if you follow the alignment that you feel and you're in tap and in tune with yourself and not on some like weird existential or metaphysical stuff, because I think sometimes people hear that and they're like, oh, they on that woo woo shit. Some people are, and it's like, bitch, what are you actually saying? But for me, it's like I want to move in alignment because there's so much peace. There's a lot less anxiety. There's a lot less frustration, and and it takes a while. Like I was really broke for a really long time, but it's
Right.
because I was more interested in being aligned with myself than being profitable.
Mm,
And so then when the money starts to come, you're not second guessing how long you're going to stay somewhere.
right.
And then when you decide you don't want to be there anymore, it also doesn't bother you to move. So you can
Yeah.
say no to money. You can say no to mistreatment. You can stop before they even start to mistreat you and just be like, hey, beloved, here are where the boundaries are. Here's the expectation. If this doesn't work for you, that's fine. But I'm only going to be what works for me.
Ooh,
But a lot of people, um, can't sacrifice that way, I won't even say I'm willing. Like when you got family, when you have responsibilities, when you, especially when the machine has driven you for so long, so you're like your means, your cost, all these things are really high, you have to work your way out of that. So I don't want to be irreverent or irresponsible. You got to get to a point where you're working your way out of being plugged into like the standards of living, you know. So it may take you a while to get to a point where you say, like, I only move as I please, you know, and not even from a selfish perspective. A lot of my life is built to be in service to other people, but I can't serve other people well if my needs aren't properly met. So
Hello.
I also have to think about the bottom line very finitely. It's a thought process for me. But because of that, when I align and I'm like, I'm in service to other people, therefore people have to serve me in a way that reciprocates that necessitates my inclusion in this project, then negotiation becomes a lot different because I'm not negotiating my value. As LaRussell says, I'm
Right.
priceless. I'm telling you what I'm willing to do for what I'm willing to receive for the work that you're required of me, you know? And then from there it's like, so I don't really do a lot of discounts. It's either the price is the price or it's free because I rock with what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And then even if I rock with what you're doing and you're a homie, I'm like, here's the homie rate
Right.
to introduce you to the value that I have because I love you. But it's not going to stay here. It's only the introductory rate. You know what I'm saying? It's the trial period because I really rock with you. But I don't even do trial periods. I don't do trial periods for people who don't know me because a lot of times, a lot of my business comes from word of mouth.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's like if you called me, here's what the price is.
Okay, like you called me, you reached out for my help. Like, yes, I think you are just unabashedly just walking in your purpose. You are very clear on what you want to do, and being aligned is really, really important. And like you said, those who get it, get it. It's not just about a like woo, like mindset, especially like growing up in church. I don't know if you still believe in God, but it's just when you're connected, you just can't deny
Yeah.
it because it's just so vividly there, you know. And so I know for me, my signs of confirmation are my success. If I
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be doing what I was supposed to be doing, you know, even when I fall, I'm never like asked out because I always
For
shift. You
sure.
know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
shift when I'm supposed to. I see the signs and I make the shift. The only thing that I think holds me back is I'm very empathetic.
Yeah.
And so
Same. Yep. Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
so
Yep.
like
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
stay
Yep. Yep. Yep.
in
Yep. Talk about
situations
it.
that I don't need to and I
Yep.
know better, but I feel bad and I
Yeah.
just care about you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very empathetic. But yeah, and so I'll just keep rocking until,
That's what I
whatever.
was telling me, get more aligned with myself. My empathy causes me to align more and defend more, like fight more for other people than it does for myself. And that's part of my healing process that I can't be more outside of myself
Yeah,
before, like, to serve my community. Like, the best version of me is a full, well rested, well paid, well fed, well loved Erin.
yeah.
And some people are like, that's idealistic. You can't. My mom still says that, like, you like to get what you want. And I'm like, do you not?
Right. You don't
But
want what like what do you mean?
but and this is not a, some people may see it as selfish, but I think it's a misunderstanding. This isn't a I always want what I want whenever I want. This is a, in an ideal world, if I can live in my purpose, I want to be living the best version of myself. That requires sacrifice, that requires yielding. I'm not negating any of those things. But what I'm saying is, why do I have to consider consistently be uncomfortable and be disadvantaged or live in the reality that it's not going to work out for me? There's enough, life happens, enough isn't going to work out for me. But if I can program my life around saying, I'm going to rest, I'm not going to kill myself, I'm
Yeah.
going to eat well, I'm going to prioritize these things that really matter to me. Like, I went to therapy for like 3 years straight, once a week. And when I
Oh,
needed to, sometimes I would go 2 or 3 days a week because I was just going through some really tough stuff.
yeah.
Therapy got me into debt, right? Some people go to school, some people, whatever. But I was at one point, just, I couldn't afford it. I was swiping it on my credit card. But because I knew where I was going, it was worth it to me. And now it's like I make more than I've ever made, and I work less than I ever have.
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? Last year I had the year from hell, as I had as the things around me were trying to realign with my actual um like my actual morals and what I believed I was worth and all those things. Worst year for business, worst year for everything. But
yeah,
when I stepped out from it and I just did my taxes, I made more money last year than I ever made. It was the worst year I've ever had personally, but it's because I was refusing to be a part of things that didn't align with me. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And when I'm talking about money because I feel like a lot of times people will say all these things, but you start to look into it and you're like, oh, well, you had this and this to fall back on. And I didn't grow up poor. My parents are middle class people. I can always go back home. Part of the pandemic, I was living with my parents. So,
yeah,
like, I had moved back in with them. So I'm not negating, my family was there, but they're not breaking me off. They're not giving me money like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to them. I love my parents. But it wasn't like this isn't no trust fund baby story. Is
yeah,
I'm like, I believe I was built for something. And if I always have to kill myself to prove myself, to get into the room, to whisper, to have things stolen from me, to partially be a part of something that could be cool, then I'm shucking and jiving on my own purpose. Like I really gotta believe like the energy that so when I talk, the energy that I talk with, this is not a facade. So like it's competence breeds confidence. I've done enough. I have enough reps, I have enough time, enough life to say that I'm very competent at what I do. So it's not a lack of humility. And I think there's several different definitions of that. Some people hate that word. I think that being able to walk into any room and say like I'm just as good, equal to anybody here, and I'm willing to serve in the capacity that's needed, but also saying like, yeah, I'm the shit and I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like when you meet a mom who's great and she's like taking care of her kids, and you're like, oh dang, you're so good, and she's like, oh, it's just what I do. That's
mm-hmm,
confidence built from competence because she's done it
right,
before. So when
right,
I'm great and I'm like, yeah, this is just what I do, and people are like, oh, well, I'm cool. You're not for me. You're not my target audience because I'm not. Why do you feel like it's a shot at you when I'm good at what I do? You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? And so like I think for me now it's like walking in with that confidence. I've always been a good talker, a good negotiator, but I'm not interested in talking more than doing. Like I want to
yeah,
execute too. So I think sometimes when I was first starting, I couldn't understand why people wouldn't give me opportunities. But I realized it's because I come from a city where people just be talking.
right,
So now I got the reps, I got the resume. So now if I come and I'm talking good and you looking at my resume and you still question it, I'm good. I'm out. I already started it when I brought it to you because I'm not talking unless it's already in fruition.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
it's just a different
you
type of thought
speak
process.
confidently because if you didn't know what you were talking about, you wouldn't even speak. That's me.
For
Okay,
sure.
like,
Like,
like
and then
I
if I
wouldn't even
kind of
say
know, I'm gonna be
nothing.
listening because I don't want you to see the crack. I'm like, let me learn something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't try me. I'm not y'all.
Not the one, two, three, four, fifth. I hear you. Oh my gosh.
Facts.
Okay. So I like something, big in music culture. We've seen four bats go up, and I did a
For
video
sure.
about that. And as I was researching in the video, I was looking at either Gamma or Vidya's website, and I saw a review from you on there.
This is
Don't shake
interesting,
your head.
Brandon.
Okay,
She just
but
asked me about video because she saw my face on their website.
you mad? You
So
don't want
you
to
want
talk
to
about
talk about companies? Shout out to video. We still distribute through
yeah.
them. You want to talk about companies?
Yeah, I want to talk about like the challenges and opportunities presented by streaming platforms, digital distribution, all of the emerging technologies that we've got going on. Talk about it.
I'm gonna be wise with my words.
Oh no. Oh no, that's not a good sign. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna be wise with my words. I'll say two things. The
Okay.
digital age and the way that distro companies work now give artists the ability to flow, iterate, function, build like never before. Partners like Gamma slash Video, Two Lost, STEM, I got people at all those places. They will give you an artist budget if you got to do something. Don't be talking about I got 10,000 monthly listeners. You build a following, they'll give you bread to market your project after it's already made, and it gives you the opportunity to cut out the label system or a middleman, or an investor where you're just getting the budget fronted against your streams. And then once you recoup, you're back into a regular streaming situation.
Mhm.
So it's, to me, a really great business move for artists. And to me, a really good incentive to grow your following on your own, because it puts your next business step within reach in a calculatable way. And it's very sustainable. I will say that a lot of these, I'm not promoting any of them individually because you got to pay me for that.
Right.
Tulas, shout out to Tulas. Tulas is one of the sponsors for our podcast. Tula is called the At Odds podcast. Is me, Dame Ritter, and DJ Payne One. So shout out to them. And yeah, shout out to my homie Todd and Bree at STEM. STEM is doing a lot, especially for Black creators. STEM was one of my first ever partners when it came to a distro company that was offering bread and support. I don't know where Chloe is now, but shout out to Chloe. She saw the vision with me and Caleb back in the day.
Hey.
And then I'm gonna shout out to Video. Video has partnered with us and they've given us money, but a lot of these streaming companies will take your face and take you, you know, as a contributor to the music ecosystem, and they'll ride the wave.
Mm,
And they'll say, oh, we got a Black face, we got a Black woman, we have an intelligent human being. Let's milk this for all it's worth because her words and her value means
yeah,
something. So 2.5 years after I can't get an email back, my face is still on somebody's website. It's crazy.
that's wild.
Um, two years after I created a position for myself and wrote job description because they were utilizing my voice so often on Instagram lives and panels and conferences, and said, let's work. And then I see my job description online and they end up hiring somebody else for the job that I created internally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a lot of great things to say about companies like that. So,
Ugh,
yeah.
yes.
And I got
Man,
all the receipts. So if anybody's saying any type of thing, you know what I'm saying? I could show you email after email. I'll show you where I made the job description, the
this
original file of when it was
of
saved, and I'll
quick.
show you where they posted it 6 months later after they stopped emailing me 3 months later.
That's wild. That's
So
so
for
wild. But
me,
that's like the real, that's the industry. That's
that's
the
the
music
industry.
industry, you guys. Like she's not lying. Like this is how stuff is in this industry. And that's why it's just like, whoo, that's why I started this to teach you guys about things like this so that it doesn't happen to you and you're not asked out. Like this is Erinn, someone who is intelligent, has business acumen, also creative, so much that they valued her voice and put her on platforms and had her speak. And you know what I'm saying? Created a position like just so insane. So
and
insane.
and and
Hi,
this is
Martin.
this happened in 2022. So the same year, I can tell you about three other companies. I had one label from uh, 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 a producer that I've looked up to my entire life. The first producer I ever knew because of his tag on a gospel song hits me, said, like, I get a call and dude's like, I'm da da da. I'm like, ain't
No
no
way.
way. Turns into he wants me to help run his label, formulate his whole business. Da, da, da. We was going back and forth for months about what position I would have, what my salary would be. Gave him a spec contract for what new independent artists would want if they want to do partnerships with labels. I brought in I had 36 artists that I'm like, these are who I think. And then now this wasn't off rip. So I'll say I wasn't foolish just giving them everything, but we were already in the midst of negotiation. I'll tell you this, young executives, wait till the ink dries. 15
Ugh. Don't
Wait,
start
15,
doing the work. Right.
15 minutes before we got on this call, we had a guaranteed contract call us and say, hey, actually, we're going to have to slide this to next year. Cool. But had we done the work? Absolutely not, because I know what it is at this point. But this
Mm-hmm.
was a guaranteed contract. So I'm like, that these are the artists I think you should sign, whatever. It's like suddenly out of nowhere, 3 months goes by. I'm like, big dog, what's good? Oh, I just signed these three artists. So you signed artists and haven't finished my contract. You done given them bread. I saw one artist, he was like, man, I was just able to quit my job. I work in the medical field. Da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, dang, somebody must have snatched them up. This
Guess who?
artist lives in a country that has less than 50,000 people. I'm
Mm.
tapped in, you know what I'm saying? He African artist. And yeah, I won't go too deep into it because a lot of people follow me. If you follow the paper trail, you'll know what's good. But I'm just saying, in that year, I had probably 4 or 5 different contracts that didn't go through, but those people still went through with the business that they basically got months of free consultation from.
Um,
And it was supposed to be hundreds of thousands of dollars of contracts for me. So as much as that year hurt and was devastating, because I was really hurting for bread in 2022, really hurting for bread.
yeah.
Um, it it was the thing that firmly submitted me in my confidence. I'm like, if all my heroes are calling me, I'm signing fucking NDAs to work with these folks because it was proprietary information, and they're literally stealing from me, who virtually nobody knows. Then, yo, love you. See you soon. Um, they're they're stealing from me, from somebody who virtually nobody knows. I'm like, nah, I got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting calls from people out the blue, like, yo, can you do this? Can you do this? So at this point in my life, the price is the price. If you can't afford it, I'm not bothered by it. Bless you.
Yeah.
Even right now, I'm in the middle of a really dope contract negotiation, and I was told, like, hey, yeah, we're just trying to get to the price. We're almost there. I know what that means. They want me to come down a couple thousand. I'll be like, yeah, let me know when you get back to it. Because when people nitpick you, they feel like if you start the conversation, and I'm not talking about negotiating is cool, but when you start the
Right.
conversation
Oh no. Oh, it got really bad and pixelated. You froze.
and how you think that this relationship is going to go. And you know, again, negotiation is okay. I'm willing to negotiate. But it's from what stance? If you can't give me the dollar amount, what type of benefits can you give me? What type of We came down on the price with this one contract because they said we'll give you 2 iterations of the contract. Then they came back and said, hey, we're still working on the price. Nope. I came down because you offered me something to offset it. I'm not coming down again. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, like, even learning how to negotiate,
Yeah.
learning where your value sits. And again, me and my business partner used to do this 2 weeks to negotiate. Well, at least we're getting something. Nope. That's a poverty mentality. We don't do that anymore. Because the thought process is that this is the only opportunity that's going to come our way and give us something. And now I'm like, I'd rather say no and keep space for the bigger thing than to say yes and rob myself of the opportunity to have a bigger pie or a fuller plate. Because if you think in the way where I'm like, I'm willing to say no to the good to only accept the great, great
Mm.
will only come. The more you keep saying no to good, mediocre, okay, that's all that's going to come to you. The chaos that comes with mediocrity, the
Or the
frustration,
more you
the
say
long
yes.
hours, yeah. When you think that that's all you're worth, that's all you're going to be worth. It
Yeah.
really is my favorite book says, as you think, so you are.
Mm.
If you do not believe that, then you will always make an excuse for somebody not treating you the proper way.
Oh, gosh. Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. Dang, why are we making excuses for them? Like, it's
That's
like,
crazy. I'm making an excuse for somebody not treating me good. But
right.
I'm saying it because I lived in that reality for
Yeah.
decades. Decades. I had to heal from my daddy issues, my mommy issues, my friend issues, my artist issues, my man issues. The amount of issues I've had to heal from because I was making excuses for mediocre people who did not care to treat me right is crazy.
Yeah.
And they're only mediocre because they haven't decided to live their best self and treat people properly. I'm not saying any human is mediocre. You're only mediocre when you don't make the best decisions to be your
Yeah.
best. So, like, when you're aligning with people who lead by insecurity instead of out of optimization, then you're allowing yourself to also be mediocre and accept their standards because you're willing to say, well, he didn't mean it that way. They didn't mean it that, or maybe they'll come back and they'll give me more. If they're not giving it to you now, they're never going to give you more.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've never had a contract that I killed on that came back and said, hey, we're going to give you more. They're like, oh,
No.
let's re-sign.
Yeah.
They'll re-sign at the same amount because they're like, well, if you did that at this, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, this industry is notorious for just taking advantage of people who assume the best. Like, I know when I was working, I was just like, I'm just gonna kill it. I'm gonna do super great, and you're gonna give me the raise. You're gonna see that I'm worth this. Like, I was always doing the next position
Yep,
up. And it doesn't matter. When I was in television and when I
yep.
was in music, when I was a PA, I was actually doing the job of a coordinator. When I was a coordinator, I was doing the manager's job. When I was a
When I
manager,
was
I
at a
was doing
coffee
the line
shop, I
producer's
was
job.
managing the shit and sourcing beans and as a barista.
Yeah.
What? I'm negotiating bean prices
Yeah.
and working with
Wild.
local. No, same. That's the nature to me of black women as well. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it's exclusive to us, but black
Right.
women, we walk in, we're nurturers by nature. If we can see
Right.
a
We're
way
like, I
to
can make this.
advance growth, what'd you say?
We're like, I can make this better.
Yes.
Like,
We love a project.
oh, we love our
What?
projects.
Don't give us a man with an ounce of potential. We love a project.
Ooh,
What?
challenge.
But imagine, and this is again the adjustment in the mindset. Imagine if you apply a green thumb to a vibrant evergreen plant versus a plant that's only got a lifespan of 3 to 6 months. We're trying to revive dead things, and because of the grace of God, sometimes we can get a seed and then we can like cut a branch and integrate.
We love
What?
a revival.
Speak. But now it's like, oh no, I'm only applying my greatness to things that are already evidently great
Yeah.
and can create exponential growth for both of us.
Yeah.
I used to literally go to dead things and try to revive them.
Right. And it's like, why?
You can get a
Why?
heartbeat occasionally. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of life, but realistically, all you're getting is false positives. It's a waste of energy, it's a waste of effort. It causes frustration, stress, tiredness. And again, there's a while it takes you to learn this. You have to learn this, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a woman. It takes a while to cultivate, but it's a mindset thing again. Your thought
Yeah.
process is, I am not good enough. Therefore, I have to prove my value. So I will go to something that's subpar and create a proof of concept off of the subpar thing in the hopes that it will attract more subpar things to benefit from my greatness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And greatness has to be cultivated. But again, I just told you I was a child starting my first business. Had I had the type of worth, self-worth, value, understanding, do you think I would have wasted 8 years or 6 years on broke rappers? Absolutely not. It's okay though. It's okay because it all matters though. It's all part of the process. I did that so that I can teach other people don't do
Yeah.
that. And I have researched it. I have case study after case study. I can talk you through what you're going through right now without me even, you tell me two things. Oh, yeah, I talk to so many female managers and they're like, yo, how do you know my life? I'm like, because I lived it too many times. Rock music, R&B music, reggaeton, hip hop. I've been in this industry 14 years in September, or 13 years in September.
Whew.
I've seen it. I've owned a booking agency, a touring company, management firm, record label, marketing company. What? Like I've done everything but publishing, but we also work in sync.
Yeah. Oof.
So brand partnerships out the wazoo. We've partnered with Reebok, Crown Royal, Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit is regular to me. I can pretty much pinpoint what you're going through. So like at at least my struggle was to benefit somebody else. At most, it's just exponential growth for
Yeah.
my future. for my now. For me to be like, oh yeah, I sleep. People are like,
Yeah.
oh, what do you do? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of like decide what I'm interested in every couple of months, and then I just go make money from it. People think I'm bullshitting when I'm saying that, but I'm like, I'm not. Like,
Right.
but
Right.
it takes you going through your hero stealing your ideas to learn, this
Mm,
is how I insulate myself. It takes you going through losing $25,000 at the top of the pandemic because you have bought 2 tours um, worth of venues, and then the pandemic happened, and so now you don't have an insurance policy. It takes you going through being
ooh.
doxxed and being harassed and a festival being stolen and not getting paid by your favorite artist that you've ever managed ever, and losing $250,000 3 years later in a business. But the year you lost $250,000, you made more money on paper for your personal self than you ever did when you lost $25,000, because you learned how to insulate yourself just in the 3 years. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's
Yeah.
like it all works together, you know. It sucked. I cry a lot. But I also have a therapist on call at this point. Again, I invested in the therapy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it all works together, and I hate it for me. I hate what I had to go through, but I'm also grateful that I've made it to the other side with this decidedly focused intention to be myself, to care for myself, and out of that, care for my community and serve my community. But it's all about alignment right now. Like, I do not care what you have to bring me. If I
It
don't
comes
rock
down
with
to
it,
that.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Very much, very much. And I'm so happy that you guys are all enjoying this because I know, like, talking about monetization, it's not just like, well, if you do this, then you'll make this. And it's like, no, what she's talking about is how you can build a sustainable career for yourself that is going to help you. And just like, why go through the shit when I've already been through it and I can write the book and I can, tell you how to avoid it, like
For sure.
don't go through the
And
same things.
somebody, I'm just looking at the comments. Two people said something about a book. I have a book in my bio. It's $5. It's called How to Be Excellent: A Beginner's Guide to Achieving the Unbelievable. So jump in there, $5. Minimal investment. It's 18 pages, or you can get it on Audible. I narrate it. It's dope. Or you can sign up for the Kindle app for free and download it and listen to it. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
We
It
can
still
hear
counts
you
towards
talk.
my book sales.
You got
Yeah.
stories. You got things to say.
Second, I mean, it's not a big story. It's just about the building blocks that I learned from it. I wrote it last year, and it came out of the hardship that I've had to experience, right? Because I'm like, what are the things that kept me and sustained me in this period? And
Yeah.
what were the things that attracted this negativity to me? What about me was that? And, I had to process all of that.
Yeah.
The second thing is, somebody said, when you have a heart for people, you might have missed the first part. That's why you have to go to therapy. Respectfully, everybody doesn't agree with therapy. I do. Because when you have a heart for people, if you don't get to the bottom of why you feel the need to give to people more than you feel the need to protect yourself,
Woo.
then you have an imbalance in your care. You are the first person. You water your plants first.
Yeah.
You eat first. You love first. You care first. Even with friendship, I was a giver, 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 giver. And then I was stuck. Like, why don't my friends love me as much? I need to love. I shouldn't be asking my friend. I need to love me first. And like in a real way. Like, I got to learn, what do I need? Okay, I need time. All my friends know I'm slow. That's my business partner. I'm slow. This morning he called me. He said, "When you be ready?" I said, 10 minutes. He said, "Okay, I'll be there in 30." I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm actually going to be ready in 10 minutes. But he'll tell me an hour or two before everything. I'm just like, I need my time. I need my pace. May need to go sit in the sun. And it don't even be like I'm just trying to waste time. It's not like
Right.
that. My brain processes really fast and my body moves really slow. I used
Mhm.
to make excuses. I would lie. I couldn't figure it out. I found out I was neurodivergent 2 years ago, and it made sense. But the year before that, I had decided I don't care why it happens. It's just what I need. When I gave that to myself, I gave myself permission to say anybody in my life has to accept this part of me. Not because I'm not trying. I forewarn
I don't want
people,
to
and
be okay.
I'm not late to stuff. I mean, sometimes like 15, 20 minutes, but I'm not intentionally violating you. It's because I have different ways that my brain moves, and pace is not something that happens for me regularly, a fast pace, because
Yeah.
I need slowness. It's hard for me to accept
Mhm.
the world if I have to go out. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
all of these things come with getting to know yourself, spending time with yourself, and then healing in a community. And my first community of healing was me and my therapist.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then it progressed from there. But I'm not gonna, I know I've just been rambling, but it's like, if you're looking, if you're sitting here saying, well, I can't not do this because I'm trying to love people, you have it out of whack. Like,
Yeah.
you've got enough. My favorite book again says, love other people like you love yourself.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself first. If you loving other people first and more, you're fucked. Like,
That,
you're out of whack. That's like, if I'm hungry and I feed somebody else, I'm going to resent them for feeding them because I'm hungry. And I
yeah.
did that for years. And then I told myself I wasn't doing right. I told myself I'm like, fix your attitude. And then I realized I'm like, I haven't ate in days and I'm feeding people. And then when the next meal is time to come, they're like, why is it late? And it's like, damn, I haven't eaten in 3 meals. But you set that expectation.
Yeah.
You allow people to treat you that way. So now you're in this equation that doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Very much that. And it's the classic saying of like you can't help the kid with the oxygen mask until you
Correct.
put
Put your mask on first.
yeah. Put your mask on first. And I think that it's so important for you to have this conversation with music executives and especially artist managers because it takes a special kind of person to even be an artist manager.
Correct.
Like the things that you go through are not an isolated experience. So many people who are artist managers are going through the same things as you because this is a huge job and a lot of times you do it for years for free, like
You,
like
you
and
imagine a role. This is the folks can't even imagine a role. Linnell, what's up? I'm wearing your hat right now. My girl Linnell is on here. Imagine you volunteering for free. And that's a stretch because you really be volunteering and spending your own money for years for a tiny percentage for ninjas just to be like, you're not doing enough. Try me again. Try. This one I had to get out of what?
this turned real Blair
At
Witch Project on us.
at very least, you paying me now is making up for the years of
Hello,
non-payment.
hello.
But whatever, nobody sees it that way. Everybody, it's
The
whatever. I
sweat
had to get out of it.
equity.
It doesn't make sense because any good manager actually makes a great business partner. But you're paying me as if I only get a portion of your net. No sense. Goodbye. I can make more. I'll tell you, I make more on single calls or a panel for an hour than I do for a month of management. And I was managing some sizable artists. But when you get to a certain scale, you now have to have a team. So I was
Right.
paying a team.
Yeah.
Folks don't understand.
No,
Every time somebody
that's
says, I
why
need
when you
advice
said
on being a
on
manager,
paper, yeah, when
don't.
you
That's
said like on
my advice.
paper,
Don't.
my bad. I kept talking over you.
You good. You good. I'm just saying my advice to young managers is don't.
Don't.
Zero, don't.
Don't listen to her, you guys. Follow your dreams.
Don't. Your dream is not to be a slave. What? You think you want this? It's okay. You don't. I'm telling you.
No. You no, but honestly, some really great advice for artist managers and for up and coming executives and stuff is to always have multiple sources of income.
For sure.
Diversify your income. Do not put all of your eggs in one basket. Do not put, and that includes your time. That includes your energy. That includes, you know what I'm saying? Like you cannot invest your everything into your art. It doesn't matter if it's one artist, it doesn't matter if it's multiple artists. All of your time and energy should not, your income cannot rely on other people. What do you do that is dope? What are your skills? What that is how you make money. That is how you monetize. And that's why me and Erinn are not scared to be entrepreneurs because we know our worth, we know our value, and we're not scared to charge for it.
Yeah.
So
And for like young people trying to figure out Because when I first started, I was like, I want to I want to do consulting, but I didn't have enough stuff under my belt for me to really. And homie said, managing is like babysitting. Imagine babysitting a special needs baby who poops on themselves all the time and throws it at you, and whose parent is constantly in your ear and angry at you for free for decades. That's more like management, but okay, go off. But yeah, I think when you're younger, you got to figure out how to get your reps in. You got to figure, and you got to be really good at networking and building relationships with
Hmm.
people. That's another like really important thing. Sometimes people be like, I'm the ish, nobody's showing love. If you're the ish, then spend time making sure people know that. Do you know what I'm saying? So like even for me right now, to really make money, I spend way more time showing people how valuable I am. So like I used to not post a lot. I still don't post a lot, but folks be in my stories. I post all my events. I talk about sellouts on Twitter and Instagram. And I've been selling out events for a decade. I promise you, like when I was throwing concerts, rock music, reggaeton, I've been selling. I done booked Russ, Pierre Bourne, all the big artists that are hitting right now. I promise you, I've been doing it. Is this my life? But I just got to the point where I'm like, oh, people respect clout a lot. Artists
Mm.
respect clout. Executives, for sure. Executives respect motion. So I started realizing that it's not all a clout play, but it's a resume. So even my Instagram, I put my. I don't care if you like it. I made a joke yesterday. I'm like, why aren't y'all liking my? Because folks, it be hundreds of people watching my videos. I'll get like 30, 40 likes. I realize it's the Instagram algorithm right now. They want me to create a creator page and I haven't. I'm not doing that. But so they want me to pay, which is cool. But like I just started putting stuff in my stories consistently. You won't believe all the calls I get or people, I see the motion. Da, 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 da. It's been motion,
It's
beloved.
always
We been here.
there.
But I started realizing I had to display that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
so, like, I think if you're a great creator, a lot of times artists are like, I'm this or I'm that, or a graphic designer, whatever. I'm this, I'm that. Show people.
right.
Show and tell was that used to be my favorite thing in school. I don't care if it was a pencil or a new pair of shoes. I'm a show and tell it. So I just started going back to show and tell. So you got to just be if you're young and you're not always gonna get in. It's hard to make money in the music industry right now. It's harder to make it than it to me than even when I first started.
Yeah,
And I hit like a golden era maybe like 5 years ago where I was like, oh this, but that's when I had a team and I was like giving away all the money instead of like whatever. Anyways,
right.
so I would say like don't just immediately be like my value is, and no, you guys gotta come on. You gotta you know what I'm saying, like
Gotta build.
let's be you, and then you gotta have a group of people. I still do stuff with my homies for no bread, but it's because we're building towards something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Marketing is everything. It's almost like if I do two cool things, but I show it to you 15 times, that's actually better than doing 15 cool things and showing you twice. I had to learn that. I was doing hella stuff. Now I
right.
do less and post more, and folks be like, "You got the most." I'm like, I really be asleep. I be at my crib. I'm going to Costa Rica in 2 weeks. You know
Hey,
what I'm saying? I'm gonna go to camp. I was in LA. Like I be chilling. You know what I'm saying? I
someone
bless
asked
the
me to
Lord.
speak on
But
a panel at a conference in Costa Rica, and I was like,
wait,
"Ooh,
there's
I'm
a
gonna do it."
conference in Costa Rica?
Huh?
You said there's a conference in Costa Rica?
Yeah, someone asked me
Dang.
to speak on a panel in a
Dang.
conference that's going to be in
Hey,
Costa
go
Rica. Yeah,
off!
I was like,
I'm really going to hang out with my homegirl, but that's great. Dang, I want send yo Jazz, not to bite on you. Send me all them type of invites. That's what I want. I
yeah,
want to go to Nova
I
Scotia.
will.
You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
the
All
person
those.
hosting the conference, he used to work at WME, and he's just kind of one of
Wow.
those people who just like is like us, creative entrepreneurs taking their own thing. Like, and the conference is about like mental health and
Mm,
wellness. He's gonna have like sound baths there and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it actually would
wow.
really be your vibe.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him about you. I'm gonna tell him about you and send him your way.
See, this why community matters. Thank you, Jazz.
Yes, the music community is way better than the music industry. And I'm so happy I learned that early and I got in this thing
Y'all,
because
y'all listen to this woman.
because the industry will have you working for decades and not paying you cents, and the community will pay you for a 30-minute call. They will pay you first because they already know. They don't play about you because they've seen the things that you've done. They don't need any proof. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, y'all, please get on Twitter. I tell music artists this all the time, but you really need to get on Twitter because that is how I got into the music community.
Oh,
like
dope.
i
Shout
like
out to
I
that.
didn't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how I got connected to so many great people who think the exact same way that I do, and just let me know that I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not going through a singular experience.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Black woman in the music
Mm-hmm.
industry is hard as fuck, and I'm not going to cry. I always cry when I start talking about it, but it hurts. It
It
hurts.
hurts. It
It hurts.
hurts.
Yes, I don't want to cry. Oof. But
It's okay.
to you
I
know what I'm saying?
welcome the tears. Trust me, I be crying.
The reason why
Like,
I can't talk
trust.
about most of my trauma because I've signed NDAs. So just me and my therapist thugging it out.
Mm-hmm,
dang,
mm-hmm,
dang, I
mm-hmm,
literally said
mm-hmm.
I feel like when I say I'm not gonna cry, it makes
It
the tears
comes,
just
yep.
come.
That you. That's look. That's why I say it because I promise you. Because then your body be like, "Oh, for real?"
Right.
Right.
Just don't even say it. Makes it worse. But I love this. I feel like this has been huge insights on how to navigate the future of like independent profitability
Yes.
because that's where the music industry is going. So I want to open this up if anybody has questions. I feel like people have been asking questions throughout this. So let me scroll up to see. So someone asked, like, so what do you do with your talents then? If you want to talk about like the Yeehaw Festival, if you want to talk about just some of the great things that you're currently doing with your talents, that you're able to, I don't know, use your skills and everything to make a living for yourself.
So I'll say your talents are meant to be cultivated. Youth and immaturity will tell you that your talents are meant to be monetized, but monetization is the byproduct of cultivation. So don't immediately say, I have a good idea, now I must take it to market. That there's no sustainability there. So it's like a lot of the reasons why I'm able to do what I want for a living and why my business partner and me are able to do so many cool partnerships and build a lot of cool things in different cities is because we've cultivated our talent. This is the byproduct of years of trial and error, but also sometimes sitting on things. We have some ideas that we brought to fruition just recent, like even Yeehaw, which is a dinner party, it's a dining experience. That is the byproduct of an idea that started at the end of 2022 that's going to iterate in 2025 as something completely different. But it's like, it used to be like, I have this idea, let's go to market. We don't have any money. Let's find some money. Let's make some money. Now we're going to go to market, and it's just like, sometimes it's meant to be sat on and thought about. You take notes, you have conversations, you research. Sometimes it's let me do an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. Let me go see what is the lowest form of this thing that I can create that gives me an understanding of its scalability, profitability, understanding. A lot of times people get discouraged because they have an idea, they don't have the money or the resources, so they're like, I can't do this. Or they have an idea, they go to market and it fails. Failure is just feedback, so it's not really a bad thing. You just need to feedback. Oh, too soon, not done right, not explained properly, not marketed properly. I used to tell music artists that you should spend double what you do on your music on the marketing. So if it's a
Oh
single and it costs you,
gosh, yeah.
$400 to make the single, you should spend $800 on marketing. That's a rule of business. People don't understand that. That's how McDonald's operates. That's how
Right,
most people spend their dollars on marketing and advertising. So if you
right.
come to an event or whatever, if you have an idea and it costs you X, Y, and Z to build it, you need double to market it, or you need something to fast track your marketing, yada, yada, yada. There's a couple of other equations you can plug into it when you're experienced. If you do not understand these things, going to market is only going to frustrate you. So you either have to decide this is purely for the art, or I'm willing to walk down the process of creating a business. Most businesses take 3 years to be profitable.
Mm,
If you have an idea and you're willing to work on it daily, iterate weekly and monthly, then in 3 years you can expect a return on investment. But again, in the 3 years, how much did you spend on the product? Now have you spent double on the marketing? When people talk about 10,000 hours, they also don't talk about the metrics of business, which is frustrating to me because it's a huge investment. If you decide I just want to iterate for art, art can also attract commerce, but you have to be the best of the best or the loudest. So now it's, do I want to spend my time on building a marketing campaign or mechanism around this art that I really believe in that's going to be free? If it's free, it'll take a lot of time, back to about 3 years. Or do I want to lean in superly to the art and say that I'm okay just iterating as an artist? And a lot of times, being a great artist, the best attract the best, but it'll probably take you, again, 3 or 4 years. So you just have to decide your business model.
yeah.
But what I'm talking about, I don't know. I may know 10 people in my life who are consistent on anything for 3 years. Those are my 7 closest people and a couple of their homies, right? So it's
Right.
like, the missing piece in all of this is choosing and then staying. Most people don't
Mm,
choose or stay. So how cultivate, and then from there learn, and that's part of the cultivation process, and then iterate. So you're either going to spend time on the art, the marketing, or building a business, and you're going to, all three of those are going to intersect, but you got about 3 years for anything. Most people get frustrated because it doesn't happen right away. If you're 3 years in and you still don't have money, you'll see growth, and the growth will tell you to stay. I was 3 years into the music industry and I personally wasn't receiving a ton of money, but my artists were starting to make money. We were getting a lot of traction. Back then, we were getting newspaper write ups. We had an investor interested. You know what I'm saying? But it's because
yeah.
every day for 3 years, we was at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just like, most people don't spend 3 years on anything where they're daily going after
Yeah.
it. And people will be like, man, I've been at this for 10 years. You've actively done it maybe 4.5 years sporadically across 10
Yeah.
years. So
Yeah.
you're saying it's 10 years, but you haven't, because like there's too many laws in effect that if you were working on it that consistently, it would have come to you by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I can understand like everybody cannot afford to be broke for that many years, but that's
Facts.
why a lot of people work at these companies and everything. But when you work at these companies, they take up so much time. You stop doing your stuff. You can't stop doing your stuff
Correct.
because if this company decides to fire you tomorrow, then you're left with nothing. And all of that time and energy that you invested in that company, making that company profitable, whether it's a label, a distributor, a streaming platform, any of that, all of that time could have been invested in yourself and in the things that you want to do for yourself and how you want to make an impact. I know so many people who work at labels and different things and they want to be a manager. Or I even know managers who saw me working at management companies and they were like, man, I've only done it independently. I wish I could be at a company. And it's like, ooh,
I thought I wanted that for a split second. I kept applying to companies last year and the joint didn't happen. And then I was like, I don't actually want that. It
dude,
took
and
me a
that's
while
my
to get there though,
thing.
because I was frustrated when they weren't hiring me. But there's
Yeah,
certain skills don't translate from entrepreneur to corporate. And again, most of that is about obedience. And I'm
yeah,
not taking a shot at anybody because I'm a great team player. And I thought that's what they wanted. I'm like, I'm not gonna be here trying to lead y'all's company. I'm just trying to
right.
contribute. But again, yeah, it's a
Like
thought
let's
process.
build like that. And
Facts.
that's the thing is that's our heart. And I think me and you are probably really similar in our forms of communication is that we lead with logic. And a lot of times in the music industry, people are led with emotion. Like, make me feel good, make me like you, make me do it. And it's like, no, but let's just talk about what the fuck we want to do though. And like how we can
I
make it
am
work
not
together.
kissing
Like,
your ass for you to think I'm worthy to be on your team, beloved. I'm kind and I rock with y'all.
it's
I wouldn't
beloved.
be here if I ain't rock with y'all, but you want me to pucker up
Yes.
when respectfully you need me in the building.
And we say the quiet parts out loud. That's not really popular.
At all.
Like,
At all. At all. That's what I'm saying. People be trying to clip me up and they were like, we heard you said this, this, and this. I'm like, tell me where it was a lie. And tell me where, not just a lie, but tell me when it was unkind. If it was actually unkind, I'm gonna apologize.
right.
Cause my desire isn't to be unkind, but people don't like truth.
Hmm.
So when you're a truth teller and you can give that in a very genuine way, people will find any reason to have a problem with you.
The
They'll
truth
make
hurts more than
shit
lies.
up about you because they can't find a real reason, but the truth is they don't understand. They don't understand the course of truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 All right. I do have
Woo.
to slide. I see one more person asked the question. Homie said, do you suggest partnering? I love, yeah, I'm big on community. Partnerships are great, but here's the thing. Um, Greatness attracts greatness. So if you are already doing and building great things, then you will attract the partnerships that are equal. If you aren't doing that and you want to join my team, you probably don't have enough translatable skills. Hella people hit me like, yo, I want to work with you. I'm like, what can you do? Give me your hard skills. They'll be like, I can A&R, or I'm really good at community building, or I'm an event planner. And I'm like, okay, tell me what you've done. And they'll tell me about some shit they did a year ago or whatever. You're only as good as your last one. I don't really want to work. I want to collide with somebody who's so fire. I'm like, yo, I know you got a lot of shit going on, but would you be down to like do this with me? I almost want to ask people who are already on a crash course to greatness if they would consider rocking with me for a moment. Is in here. Is our graphic designer for Build Your Own Dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Is ill. Boy, is works with so many different companies. But when we first started working with him, I kind of started seeing it burgeon. I'm like, yo, would you think like you could be our in-house graphic designer? And because we had been hiring him for stuff, and he was like, I'm about it. And I'm like, we're never gonna stop you, so keep doing what you're doing. But he came and started working with us. And one of the reasons he said yes is because we pass him so much business. We pass him more business than we can pay him for. So the
Ooh.
ecosystem is built in a way that he's, even though we're not the ones giving him all the bread, there's consistently, we're passing
Right.
shit his way. So we almost work like an agency for him too. But because of that, he stays with us. We've never been like, well, we gave you business a year or two ago. We've been working with him for 3 years. He became our in-house graphic designer 2 years ago. When we had to lay off our whole staff, he's the only person who stayed because it was like, the system was built. He's like, you know what I'm saying? So like you wanting to be a part of greatness and being a part of people who are doing great things doesn't work for people who are already sprinting in their own greatness, because you have to be in the like running in the same direction. And this is not a shot to anybody.
Right.
So you need to be really great at something, and there's got to be proof of that. Otherwise, you need to just be getting your reps in. You need to be getting your consistency in. You need to show your work. And occasionally, I've seen bigger people. There are opportunities, but a lot of times in that situation, it creates a relationship that's not symbiotic. So they take advantage of you, they steal from you, or they take your ideas, or they don't pay you fairly because they're like, well, we're already doing this. You should be grateful to be here. I don't ever want anybody to feel like you should be grateful to be here. I'm grateful for you. We're gonna make this shit work. Whether I can compensate you fairly or I can give you your rate, and I'm gonna pay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think it's a hard equation, because typically people who want to join my team aren't ready to join my team, because I need people who are already marathon runners. If
Hmm.
you just started running miles last week, you're not for me, because our warm up is a 15K. We
Right.
doing that at 8 a.m. before y'all wake up. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes people are asking, like, how do y'all do so much? Me and B put up 15K shots a day on the regular. So our off days, we're shooting 1,000 like in bed. And folks is like, oh, I just put up 500 shots today. I'm like, nigga, it's Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different thought process, but people, you can't understand it if you're not there.
Right.
You have a ball. I own an AAU association. It's completely different here.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not You want to play on one of my AAU teams. You don't want to be my assistant coach or co-own the league with me. Respectfully. But it's like that kind of understanding comes with your, so if you're on a lower level, and not lower as in I'm not saying less than me,
Right.
if you're on a different level,
And
yes, find
emerging,
other people who are doing stuff with you.
yeah.
What'd you say?
I said an emerging or aspiring
But
level, you know?
even on the emerging level, partnership is hard because people be geeked up on ideas. They be like, yeah, bro, we gonna do this. They burn out after 3 months,
Right.
so then you're left frustrated again. So my thing is, if you want to run, run. And the more
Mm,
you run, the more opportunities you attract, the more eyes, the more people. And then you'll start to notice other runners and what time they run. And when you start running with other runners, you start to share, again, not necessarily partnership, you start sharing tips. You're
right.
running, we not on the same team, but I just learned this tip. I learned I should be going heel toe and not on my ball if I'm running a marathon. Okay, so then
Mm-hmm.
when people start to notice your technique, they're like, oh, they know what they got going. You know what I'm saying? It took me a really long time to learn that. It's like there are tricks of the trade that you have to adapt in life for people to take note of what you're doing. It can't be a good idea and it can't just be execution. It has to be the methodology that you do things by. It's one thing to be a home cook. It's a whole nother thing to be a chef. You'll do mise en place when you're a chef and you know how to talk to a sous chef. At home, you're just chopping up veggies, which is cool, but it's like a different level. You know what I'm saying? So I could go on and on about this, but yeah,
Analogies and metaphors
run,
for
run,
days.
run. Yeah, my maker spoke in analogies when he sent his representative to Earth, and it's just the way that I relate to life. So it makes it easier for me to understand what I'm doing, and it makes it more relatable for me to explain it to other people. Because sometimes I can get off into space, so I just like bring it back down to an analogy because it helps me consume it personally. But
Yeah.
yeah,
This is amazing. And I love this. And if you guys don't take anything from this, just learn to let your success tell your
yeah,
story, run your own race, and the everything that is meant for you. I know it sounds a little woo, but it will really cross your path and it will fall into alignment for you. That doesn't say don't do the work. Ain't no
facts.
faith without work is dead. You ain't
Your
getting no
belief
motion
system
for no
follows your
work.
actions.
You said what?
Your belief system follows your actions.
Yeah. Very much that. Well, thank you so much, Erinn. I know you got to go, but this has been so fire. I hope to stay in your ecosystem and I hope that we
Yeah,
continue to
let's
work
figure
together.
something out, Jazz. Let's do something.
Let's do something. This was fun. I'm definitely about to send you that conference after this, though. I'm going to text it
Oh,
to
for
you.
sure.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon. Appreciate
You
you.
too. Of course. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you later.